Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're well. Hope you're good. Hopefully you've had a good week. We're back here Wednesday. Well, we record on a Monday, but back to
Yep.
Wednesday. You know, A- Andrew's back. Obviously, going to be here every week now, so that's good. We're
This is
gonna
it.
laugh and we're gonna laugh and tell you because we were already pre-recording this about 5 minutes ago. Then all of a sudden, I just went off and went black, and I don't
Yeah.
know why. We'd had a great conversation for 15 minutes.
It was good. Lost now, but here we are.
Yeah,
But yeah.
so I think we're just going to jump straight in, aren't we? Because I think we're
No, we
best
will, yeah.
off.
Yeah, we will.
So we're going to talk about situationships this week.
Yes.
Now, I said how I believe this and interpret it was
Mhm.
sort of like the friend zone, and I'll leave that to you to what you said, what you interpret it as.
Of course, which is fair. And I know obviously we did mention it's maybe it's just it's a bit of a new term, like maybe because I honestly I hadn't heard of it myself personally. Because I think, as I'd mentioned before, a situationship to me was just the same thing or the same way that you may have called in years gone by, like friends with benefits. So I maybe look at it from my own definition of it, that if you're in a situationship, that maybe and I think like you maybe sort of had said at one point, like you're kind of having your cake and eating it in that
Yeah,
regard. So it's maybe not necessarily, because I know the term friend zoned, but maybe you're not a couple of pals, but one person wants to, but the other doesn't. And I get the fact that that's a bit of a situation, but I don't know if it's a situation ship. Like, do you know what I
it,
mean?
I think it's like I think they're trying to define it as the commit part, isn't it? If you want to commit to having
Well,
that relationship, do you want to commit
yeah,
fully? Do you want to be immersed in that person's world, or
yeah,
it goes back to that point of do you want to have your cake and eat it and
yeah,
sort of go and just have the great times and in the bedroom, do the fun stuff, do the dating, but
yeah,
they might have, I don't know, kids, they might have this, they might have that, and they don't want to be involved in that bit. And I
yeah.
suppose that's probably where you like your situationship is. And I get it, you know, I suppose an undefined ways it's a non-committed or committal relationship and you don't want to commit fully to it. So for me, it's like there's romance, but it's one-sided and it isn't there for the other potential.
Yeah, going back to that, maybe there's okay, the committal and non-committal part in a situationship, but I don't know whether that's like because there's you maybe don't have to have an element of the romance there, or maybe it's one-sided. But maybe arguably that there's two people there that understand what they're in. They like they like the fact of not being committed, but they also like the fact of having that element of romance that's there as well. Now, again, everything's always up for interpretation there. Like, what is romance to a couple that's in a situationship? Is that going out for a candlelit meal and maybe holding hands, but then, well, that's it. When they go away, it's like, right, I'll see you next time I see you. Like, you're not going back to the same place. You're just like,
No.
I don't know, because that's the thing. Like, there's so much that might be up for interpretation to the next person, but especially when it comes down to romance in that regard, like that might be in a relationship or situationship of whatever sort that is. So, yeah, it's just I think it's a weird limbo that people might find themselves in. I do think though that you're absolutely right. It's because like there's that like committal and non-committal part, because
Hmm.
my own God's honest opinion on if somebody's in a situationship is just the fact that they just, as you just said, they want to have their cake and eat it and not
Yeah.
have no commitment, no marriage, no kids, no, just that's it. They just want to just enjoy each other, and then that's it.
I find it crazy.
Yeah.
The more I've sort of looked at this from when we spoke and different things, and I've gone, fucking hell, I've actually like
Mm.
looked back over like my time so
I've done the
far.
same. Yeah.
And it's kind of like you look at this and go, okay, is this not more a thing when you're like a teenager, when you're at comprehensive school, when you're in that point of life where you want to go out with your pals and do X, Y, and Z, but you want to be in a relationship when it suits and not all the time. And then
Yep.
I'm like, is that sort of the same thing? Are we looking at this now? Is that's how a lot of people are dating, where they want to be like that because they want to have everything but not have it all? And I just think are you missing something? And like, you know,
Yeah.
what's the damage behind it as well? Because how long does that person that wants to be
Yeah.
involved and stay within it, how long do they stay for before they
Well,
go,
that's it. Yeah, I think that is it. And I think that's always where like that ugly and really awful conversation would then have to happen between to whoever that person is in that situationship, let's call it, that then they've had a really great run of things, but
yeah,
then
yeah,
because you can't, well, can you be in a situationship forever? I don't really think you can, let's be honest, but sometimes, yeah, sometimes the train's gonna stop, like where it's like, okay, and who decides to pull, who decides to press the stop button? D- Maybe it's a mutual thing. Sometimes that's
mm,
always the best sort of scenario, but more often than not, it's somebody within that situationship that goes, yeah, I don't really want to do this anymore, and then that's that. Like it's yeah, it's just
is it,
it's a
is it,
tricky one.
I mean, I suppose, is it that point as well? It's like, it's your dirty little secret.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Do you look at it in
uh
that point, like it's your dirty little secret? Now, don't get me wrong, right? If you've got things, and let's just say you've come out of a relationship, right,
yeah,
for whatever reason, right, and you've got somebody at the back of you that you like, and all the rest of these things. Let's say that you've got interest in somebody else, your relationship you've got, you're not so keen on anymore.
yeah,
You walk away from it, and then you have a bit of time on your own, and then you get, I don't know, 3 6 months down the line, and then you're with this person. Then sort of like, you're obviously going to date, aren't you? Is that sort of where you can get into this situationship as well? Because you don't want that other person finding out what's going on. That's if you're bothered, right? Because,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm trying to pick this up from like a lot of different ways, like, because this might be genuine for people out there that are going through these situations or having these
yeah,
and going, am I your dirty little secret till it's a point where it fits you? Is that where you're in a situationship as well? If we look at it from that angle, and this was something that I thought about the other day, and I was thinking, okay, is that the same thing? Are you in that situationship already, but you're going to be there for a period of time till that person then is like,
right,
okay, it doesn't matter about that side of it now, and here we go, and then it's like we can now be in a committed relationship.
yeah,
Or, and I'm going to give you one last thing because it's in my head
mm,
before I forget.
yeah,
Or is it where you've got, I don't know, there's kids involved and you're trying to keep it sort of secret till you're both in that committed part where you're both happy because you make sure that it's right for you before you introduce it to kids and things. Do you think, or not? Or do you think that's a bit of an oversight?
well, I think it's relevant. I also do think that it's that this is another sort of subject and topic that I would absolutely love um for any man that maybe would sort of be kind enough to listen to like what we were talking about, to
Mm.
let us know, because I appreciate what we are saying from our own sort of perspectives, but I would love to know that. Like, I don't really mean let us know if you're in a situationship. We don't need to know the gory details, but what, because somebody else's perspective on this entire subject is going to be just as important as to what we may obviously lay claim to be, to sort of when we're talking about these talking points. Because I don't, I actually don't think anybody plans to be in a situationship. I
Mhm.
think it's one of these things that it's like you're just accidentally just getting stuck in a lift. Like you don't really plan to be in it. Like, but then all of a sudden you're in it. Like, and that, but then this is the thing, because what you've just said there, like the latter part of what you were saying there about waiting and then before there's kids involved and then being the right time, I don't think that's classed as a situationship, in my opinion. That to me is you're just starting getting to know somebody, making sure that you kind of gel, you click together, understanding each other's circumstances before then, okay, we are, will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my boyfriend? Are we in a relationship now? I think that's maybe what, in my opinion, what that would be. Now, I think the other aspect to that is what you were also saying there about the sort of dirty little secret, etc. Like, that's probably more along the lines of like what this, this sort of this situationship kind of
Yeah.
way would be, because it's more like it is. It's like it is that emotional investment without actually getting the return back from it. Like, so it's just easier in that regard.
It's yeah. It's like the
Like
casual sex
because you
moment.
do, yeah, because you do what you essentially do. Obviously, we've discussed romance, and maybe there's an element of that involved, and maybe it's fine to have that when you're in the situationship. But you're doing all of the you're doing all the relationship work, like, but with none of the security. Like, so you're messaging each other, you're maybe going for dates, but it's cool because like you're not together. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, this blew my mind because I'm like,
yeah,
well, I mean, there's a lot of labels in the world and things like that, and I'm not trying to put a
yeah,
label on anything, but I just thought, fuck me, this is just a strange like situation to be in, and literally here we are, situationship, and we're going to say that word probably about 10 million times today because it's
yeah.
just I still struggle with it, and I'm just thinking, you're there, so why not you just full hands in?
So,
I
which is
don't get
yeah,
it.
which is interesting. Now, I also completely agree with you. Now, that is from man to man, and also from similar age to similar age, right? In that
Yeah, yeah,
regard, like where we, so regardless about our like our tried and tested history within relationships and everything else, but that to me, I feel maybe this shift about with situationships. I think the shift in that regard, where it's a bit more prominent now because the word's been flying about and everything else, it's probably more prominent now,
yeah,
probably because people are just way more upfront about what they want. Because I remember years gone by, days gone by, when it was like, you're either in a relationship or maybe you're not in a relationship and you're doing what you're doing. But even there, it wasn't really like this disclosure about, so this is what I want and this is what this is. Like,
yeah.
that was
Just
never discussed. It was just more, you know, the friends with benefits things maybe had happened, but like, and then before you know that fizzled out, but you just kind of were aware of what that was.
yeah.
Now I just, maybe this shift is happening now because it's like, right, here's what I'm going to bring to the table and this is what this is, because I don't know, maybe it's just the day and age we're in. It's like, this is it. Here's the contract. There you go.
Well, and
Maybe that's it.
is this the part of the modern dating world in some
Yeah,
ways? Is this the
maybe.
part of the dating app scene? I mean, hey, if you're on a dating app, crack on. I haven't, and I've said this categorically. I'm not going
Yeah,
to. It's not to shame anybody. It's not
yeah.
anything like that.
No,
I just like you do you. Trust me, you
yeah,
do you. But
God.
it's not for me. I'm not. Call me old fashioned, right? But I'd rather go meet somebody somewhere and have a conversation and do
Listen,
it
I'm
that
with
way.
you. I also am with you as well. Like, I'm nothing against them. Like, nothing against these sort of the apps that exist out there. But I'm most definitely with you. If you were maybe looking to try and meet somebody
Yeah.
that that you kind of want to organically and naturally do that. Now, it's not because you want to be cheesy and like, oh, I met
No.
her like when it was raining outside a bar and like, she dropped something. It's like, I don't mean that shit. I mean like just the fact of like, oh, you maybe catch somebody's eye and like, before you know it, you're chat, but that kind of natural, organic way, or like, oh, you're with some friends, they're with some friends, that kind of like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
That's
almost like playground stuff, but it's like maybe
yeah.
that's. But anyway,
For
that's
for
yeah,
for me, that and this is where I go to it, and is this like the casual part for the sex life for it because it's just casual, it's that, and it's just something out your system in a way, but you're not getting that full emphasis on life. You're not
yeah,
getting that full being. You're not having that
no,
intimacy like we talked about last
yeah,
week. You don't have it. And I find it crazy, and
dude,
I can understand why we're sort of in a trust recession with people as well, right? Because
yes,
they've stopped trusting each other, and people go, "What you're on about a trust recession?" We are. People don't trust the same as they used to.
no,
Relationships, because I think dating apps haven't helped anybody. I don't think they've done the best
probably not.
because there's been a lot of tomming about, there's been a lot of crap, and all the rest of it. And I suppose, yeah, you fuck around, you find out, don't you? You
Yeah,
know, and
thing,
you know, I did some research as I always do and different
of
things because
course.
I wanted to come to this these points and it's 5 warning signs that I was like, okay, this is, number one, you can't answer, what are we? No label, no defined boundaries, often hidden fear of commitment. Absolutely. That
You what?
that that there is a number one warning sign. So if you're out there, and this is men and female, this is both ways, and I know the blokes out there, we'd get more crap for this than what a woman would do if you were in this relationship
I would tend
doing
to
it
agree,
this
yeah.
way. Like you would, and I call it having your cake and eating it. And if this
Mhm.
was role reversal, the bloke would get called absolutely all sorts for it.
Yeah.
But yet, I would love to know the women's perspective of this and how
Absolutely.
they see
Absolutely.
this and
Yeah.
how many they do and what they've done it to. Because, and I'm not going to tar them all with the same brush, but I guarantee that women will always go after what they want. They say they're shy, they say they're this. If they see you somewhere, they will make it their tell to come and see you.
Yeah.
1000%. I don't care who you
Correct.
are. You could be anywhere. I was out yesterday and I was somewhere with friends and we were just somewhere and literally I'm just walking along smiling and it's funny. You'll see how many people smile at you and then all of a sudden one does
Of
and it's a
course.
different look to the other and it's like, ah,
Yeah.
okay, that's different. You could
Yeah.
go have a conversation with that person. Whether it
Of
led
course.
anywhere is two different
Yeah.
things.
Of course. Yeah. Of
But
course. And I guess like with yeah, from a male and a female's mind, and outlook towards that, with what I suppose still with what we're sort of talking about at the moment, um, would you probably more than likely say within a situationship then, if you're looking at a couple, and if we're quintessentially maybe looking at that male and a female within a couple that are in a situationship, maybe it's been discussed, maybe it's not, but that just is what is happening. Do you think more than not that the closure of that would come more from the man to the woman or from the woman to the man?
I think it depends who's the big leader in it and who wants it
Yeah,
more. And that's where we get to that intimacy pit. That's where
of
they're
course. Yeah,
wanting more. And that's why I sort of probably
yeah,
put it back to the friend zone bit
yeah,
because you're not you
yeah,
want it and you want to go for it, but yet you're not being able to fully commit. And I think for me, that's one of the big things. It's going to be equal. Somebody wants something and somebody wants the other, but yet you can't get there. So that tells me that you either stop f***ing around and actually do
yeah,
something about it and give it a chance, or you
yeah.
don't and you walk away
Of
because
yeah,
otherwise somebody's always going to end up getting hurt. Somebody's always going to
yeah. Well,
have,
they are, and nobody wants that, right? Because yeah, everybody's feelings have to be taken into consideration there as well. Because
yeah,
which whatever however way you may find yourself within a particular relationship that's defined as a situationship, if you're kind of that younger adult or more moving into when you're getting a little bit older, it's all learned experiences though from that individual that actually then can maybe obviously kind of suffer from something like that if it ended abruptly, if it ended where your
uh
feelings were really hurt. Because then what are you then going to do after that? Are you just going to try and find another situationship? Are you going to try and find something else? Because um, it's yeah, it's I'm trying not when I'm thinking about this subject. Like I obviously can't help but feel to kind of put my own well, what would be my own kind of like personal experience in that regard
uh
from um when I kind of started when I started sort of being in relationships myself. Um, but I think I know just like I 100% know. Um, like up until just now, that obviously nothing would change just now because I'm a happily married man. But I think up until the point of finding that, I always had found myself within relationships because I know I didn't like that. Like, what is this type of thing? I
yeah, yeah,
always like so regardless about the relationship that I've had in my past, but they were always that's what they were. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
There
yeah,
wasn't necessarily those like situationships or whatever. Like I just always kind of feel that that's what they were defined as, and whether it was led by me or not, but I think that's just because I am but one man. Obviously, there are men out there from that side of things that maybe just want to have these situationships. But the other thing I wanted to follow on from that is is just that. Now, if you're in a situationship, because here's a question: if you're within that situationship, well, are you only just allowed to be in that one situationship, or is it the same as being in a relationship? But if you're in a situationship, you're not allowed to have another situationship. Do you get what I mean? Like,
1,000%. And
is
I
that?
and I and I reckon this is a massive, massive grey area. And for
Yeah.
me, right, if you're in that situationship, then that tells me that you shouldn't be doing anything else, right?
Well, yeah.
Because you're partly committed. It's like, so relationship, situationship. At the end of
Uh,
the, if you probably Google the terminology of it, it will
yeah.
say that the definition is that you're in a relationship to a degree, right? But you
With a
just haven't,
situation.
right? But
Yeah.
you just basically you're pissing about and you haven't found your way through yet, and you're not quite
Oh,
sure, right?
oh,
And it goes. And these are the other, because I said number one warning sign, and I think this will clarify a few things, right? I'm going to read the other four out, right? So 2, plans are always last minute and short term, sporadic, spur of the moment, never built ahead. Okay. Emotional connection is shallow, physical closeness, but no deep talks. No relying on each other for support. I will guarantee. It's not exclusive. Dodged with the lines like I'm keeping my options open, or
uh,
not ready to settle down, right?
yeah.
Also, no future on the horizon, no long term plans. You're left wondering what you even want from them. Now, I think that that pretty much clears that up and says you are not going to be in that, or you're not going to have that. If you've
Mm,
got these things going on, man or woman, whatever they are, I think it's time you look at what you want and ask yourself that deep, meaningful question.
mhm.
What is it you want? Are you happy in that current relationship? Now, you might be, and I'm going to swing this the other way, and this is going to go into even any relationship that you have, because if them 5 things in a relationship weren't
Yeah.
working,
Yeah.
you would be going, right, this doesn't work. Why?
Of
What's
course. Yeah.
happened? What's fell
Of
off?
course. Yeah.
And I would be going, right, that's time to walk away. So if you've got any of them things, you'd be doing that. In a
Mhm.
situationship, then surely it's exactly the same, and you need to walk away, because it's not going to change, because there's one person taking the cake and eating it and the other one's getting hurt on the other side, which
Uh,
then leads into the mental health aspect, which
of
then you're
course.
going to bed with anxiety, overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You're going to burn yourself out from the situation. You're going to
Yeah.
question yourself dramatically all the time and go, well, why is this happening? Why am I like that? What have I done
Yeah.
wrong? And that's one of the big things that I see.
Of course, because yeah, because what you cannot say about this whole entire subject is that even moving from the day and age of we are, because we were talking about dating apps, right? And for example, let's maybe put one of the popular ones on there on the pedestal. So if you wanted to maybe say Tinder, for example, because dating apps, they're obviously there to serve a purpose where like there's an
Can I
element
can
of
I
a
can I just can I just say I thought you were going to say grinder. That was all I was going to help.
no.
Anyhow, go on. Sorry, carry on.
No, not Grindr. Tinder. No, I've not. There may be a
Sorry,
profile within
I
Grindr,
don't
but
I don't take. Listen, I'm not offensive to anything, but it
yeah.
just
But
yeah.
if anyone does see a profile with my picture or information that's finds it's found itself on Grindr, then I am not on there. Just to clarify and to just to keep that.
Same. I'm
So
not on there. I'm very
yeah, there we go.
heterosexual. Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But so with that, obviously, like there's the your picture is on there and everything. There's some information. The important part though about this is the fact that there's an element where you can have a bit of a bio. Now, my point to this is, I think in this day and age, because I don't from I've never really used them in the past. I maybe dabbled in them once upon a time ago, but so it wasn't really that prominent then in terms of what what people are maybe looking to try and explain about them own selves. Because I think right now, and this is purely from the fact of some research I've done, the data that's gathered from the likes of Tinder, that a lot of people are just going, this is what I want. So they're being so upfront and sort of
Ah,
really forthcoming about that, rather than leaving things to, oh, I liked you, it's a match, going on that date, having that connection, and then having that sort of like, is this, isn't this, or whatever. It's like, right, if you just like each other, I know what you've just said in your bio, you know, and then it's like, okay, so there we are. We're just going to match because we're aware from the get go of what this is going to be. And that is, maybe that is the day and age thing, because people are like, well, let's just be fucking upfront about this. Let's not piss about. Like, so don't know, you know, obviously that, and that's from data that's sort of like derived from like the likes of Tinder, where that's maybe more of a likelihood that that's maybe a case when you think about situationships, is what we're talking about today.
mm,
Um, it's just, it's still a funny old one, because like, yeah, I, I guess the other aspect to having two people within that situationship, and having it end, I don't personally, I don't think that's going to end mutually. I think you've already sort of like just maybe
mm.
brushed the surface in that. I don't really think that is going to end mutually, because there is a huge likelihood that that either the man in that relationship, the woman in that relationship, or if it's man to man or female to female, somebody is going to have more investment emotionally than the other person. They might have called it what it is, but I just think it's, yeah.
It isn't just harmless fun, is it?
No, it's not, because you're when you when you're playing with emotions like that, because you know, we talked about it last week. So if when you're within a situationship, you still have to be intimate as well.
Oh,
Now,
100%.
you know, you might be in that situationship and you know, you both know what it is, but maybe you're walking into that pub, that restaurant, and maybe you're holding hands and you're sitting close to each other. So you're obviously having that element of intimacy. There's obviously going to be there's going to be sex involved in the situationship, because I think it's probably likely always going to boil down to that, the physical aspect, where, and that's where the term situationships, I kind of come back to that, because I've just always known it to be friends with benefits. So you're a couple of pals, you know what this is, but you're just having sex with each other. Like,
Because
that's
then
just how I've always known it.
because then, and I'll give you this synopsis as well, because how then would you gloss it up, right? If
Mm.
you were, if you were that friends and benefits, right?
Yeah.
And you went to a wedding together, and
Yeah.
then obviously you seen somebody else at that wedding and then went off and had an intimate
Mhm.
day and
Uh-huh.
evening with that other single
Yeah.
person. That other person that you've came with, then like how would that fit when you've been intimate with that person and had
Well,
relations and you go, you know, because then that, I mean, I'm just putting it out there, but that's going to be one hard of a hellhole to get
yeah.
yourself out of when you've seen that, because you think, oh, this might change that person's mind, especially if that
Mm.
other person's not so bothered and they've walked out that room and gone done something else. I mean,
Yeah.
if that was
It's
me,
just, yeah.
I mean, I would want to clarify before I even went to the wedding and just
Of
like just
course.
and go, are we going together as a couple,
A
or like
hundred
where?
percent.
And is this us going forward? Because if we're going to do events like this, sure as shit, I'd want to know. And then I'd be like, right, I want some clarity here. Or otherwise,
Yes.
right, are we just going singles? Because if we're just going as single, then I know where I stand and you know where you stand before you get there. But how messy is that going to be all the time? And I think this is the thing that I get to. I couldn't be done with it. It'd be such a head all the time.
Of
Like,
course it is.
how draining, how like
Of course it
just,
is.
oh God.
But you know what?
I'm
And
tired thinking about it.
yeah, but that's probably the other good question to sort of like to that we can kind of pose. Um, do do you find that easy to be in a situationship? So if we want to be speaking to that man that's listening at the moment, do you find it easy to be in a situationship rather than a relationship, and why? Obviously,
Mm.
um, now
I'd love to know if
I would
you.
as well.
I mean, if anybody is and they're listening to this and they've been through it, they go, yeah, yeah. Leave us a comment or You know,
Please do. Yeah.
easy DM us on socials. You can find us. It's dead simple, dead easy. Like, you know, just DM us on socials. It's easy, and
Yeah.
just say, yeah, you know, I'd love to have a chat with you. I would literally, me and Andrew would both quite happily come and sit on a Zoom or a Google Meet with you for a good.
Bring on fucking episode. Talk about it. No,
Yeah,
but
and
that
just
I
and
think,
find
yeah.
out. You know,
But we obviously are just we're both being as honest as we can to a listener to say, because I don't mind saying it, I don't get it. Like I
no,
don't get it, and
I,
but
no.
to the same degree, if you get it and you're in that either currently or have been, and you
Shed
can
some
speak
light on the
you can
subject.
speak eloquently about it, then fucking tell us because
Yeah, because
I'd love to know. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to know. I mean, these are some of the things that I've put down here as well.
Yeah.
The way out, and because some people, yeah, they might see the warning signs, but then how do they get the way out of it? Because sometimes people go, well, I don't know, I feel as if I can't, or maybe they haven't realised they're in this situation. I don't know, and
So
I'm
on that note, right? Because I think
yeah,
that's leading quite nicely to another kind of really snappy question. Like, ultimately, are you choosing to be in that situation, or did you just choose not to leave? Like that, really, if you think about it. Like, so are you choosing to be calling a spade, or are you just not really ever leaving it? Like, I don't know. It's still a really, it's a funny one. It's one of those ones where,
yeah. I suppose you have to look at it in these two ways, right? Are you happy within the situation? Are you unhappy within a situation? And
mm,
I've said this in coaching. If you're unhappy in a situation, then you've got to look at how can you change to make yourself happy in that situation. Is it a relationship? Is it a job? Is it family related? Is it something else, right? What is in your control to change that situation? What can you do as that human being to make that difference? Can you speak to that person that you've got the issue with or go forward?
mhm.
You know, how do you you're the only person that can make that change. Nobody else. It's that same, sort of the old saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it.
Yeah.
100%. You've got to be able to make that conscious choice and go, well, actually, is it for me or isn't it for me? And
And but really, I think maybe more importantly, as a bit of a kind of as a thinker, which is obviously a bit of a question, but you've already sort of you've already kind of grazed over this, I believe, just when we were starting talking about it. That what is it that you're actually afraid of when we're
mm,
thinking about situationships? Is it rejection, or I think, because I remember you talking about this earlier actually, or is it that it's being known in that, like, what would then be a relationship? So I think that's actually quite a good one to ask. Like, what are you afraid of? Like, are
what,
you afraid
yeah.
of the fact, oh my God, we're in a relationship, or is it the total rejection of
And I suppose
being?
that
Yeah,
goes back to your past, and it goes back
yeah,
to what's
it
happened
will,
in
yeah,
your previous
hundred
relationships.
percent,
What are you
yeah,
running away from? What
mm,
belief have you got that you're not good enough, that you can't be in this relationship for? Why have you got to this point? What's kept you there? Why are you still searching for the same things? Or you're not getting the same things? Have you seen that through your life? Was one of your parents like this constantly? Was that always sort of the thing that
yeah.
happened?
There's probably more there, yeah, yeah, of course,
you know, and you've got to ask yourself that as well, because if you keep going around the same thing and you keep doing the same stuff, it's you're the person that has to change that. Nobody else can. If you're in that time and sphere, it's on you to change. It's on nobody else to change because
yeah,
you're the one that's got to take the action. And it's an action. I'm not saying, and I'll say this clearly, look at what you want before you take an action.
yeah.
Think about it logically and carefully first before you actually take the action. Don't just go,
I
yeah,
agree.
that's where I'm
Um,
going. Right, the action's here and I'm running 300 miles an hour.
yeah,
Come back a little bit,
mhm,
breathe a second and go, right, okay, what is it I'm after? What is it that I want? What is it that I'm looking for to change?
yeah,
Okay, once we've done that, then we can obviously understand and how we go forward. So for me, I think that's probably one of the big key elements sat there. And I would
100%.
and just going, where do you want to be? And I think the way out, which it leads on. Spotted early, recognize the signs before you're in too deep. You know,
Yeah, That's always it though, isn't it? Yeah, that in itself, it's too far gone now. Like, and what is too far gone to somebody, or to a couple that's sort of too far gone? Is it the length of time? Is it the fact that, oh, you've been in my house, or is it how is that better defined as being too far gone? Like it's
And I
uh,
wonder if that's where you touched on this earlier. Do people realise, or are you allowed to be in? You've slept with that person X, Y, and Z. You go on dates and things, but
yeah,
that other person's still doing that with other women or other blokes, however, or women and women,
yeah,
or whatever, blokes and blokes, well, however you want to dress
exactly.
it up.
Right.
And I look at that and go, okay, so you need to spot it before it gets too deep, because is that person doing that? Then
Yeah.
that should give you really your answer and going, well, actually, if they're out doing that, then I'm clearly not enough to be.
Of course, yeah, of course. It's yeah. I think it's personally, I think it's always going to come down to the fact of like, what's the fear here, for the two people that are within that situationship. What is the fear? Because like they're well aware of what's potentially going on, but I still probably arguably would say that they are a couple is in, or is sort of, they find themselves in that situationship, as we're calling it.
Yeah,
I don't personally feel if people are finding themselves in that situationship, we're probably targeting and really directing a lot of noise here towards people in there, that situationship, but they're only within that situationship. I don't
yeah.
really think that they've got four or five. Like, I think
No,
personally that they either are both kind of like, right, we know what's going on, but from, as we've said, from, if we look at it from that, the male to the female side of things, there's going to be two different noises that's going on there. Like, I know why I'm in this, and I know why I don't want anything more than this. Then the other side of things is going to be like, oh, well, I wish I had that. There's probably lots to that, but yeah.
and I think, and this is the second one that I put together. You know, be honest and ask for what you want. Have the talk
Well,
early on and often. You might not like the answer, but you will have the clarity. That's one of the big things. If you misread it,
absolutely.
treat it as a lesson. Where were there signs from the start? Did I hide it? How I felt? Was it worth it? And I think there's some of the probably the key big takeaways, and I'll say them
They
again.
are. Yeah.
You know, were there signs from the start? Probably more than you realise, but were you blindsided to it? Did you want to see it? Did you want to really engage in it? Because let's just say you were scratching an itch and you found, that part of it absolutely mind blowing. Okay. But, you know, did you hide how it felt?
Mm,
Well, potentially, you might have gone, yeah, that's great, but are we going to do any more? You'll know.
yeah.
And then you're going to ask yourself the question, was it worth it or was it not? Because if it wasn't, you've got the answer. You need to walk. You've got to move forward for me. And if it was worth it, then you need to go, okay, commitment time, let's have it. That
Well, 100%. Yeah, exactly. But they are. I think they're quite important things to well, think about, I suppose, from what you've kind of said there, because I guarantee you that people listening to that are going to be like, "Oh, okay, that has made me think a little bit in that sense." Um,
and I think don't be passive. If you're the one who only wants casual, then
yeah,
say it up front. Be
just say it.
upfront,
Yeah,
be honest.
exactly.
Staying vague creates a false impression and you want more and ends in hurt feelings, which
Yeah,
it will do, which then creates animosity, which
totally.
creates all the other side of mental health, because then we start looking at it and you go down a rabbit hole before you've even got there. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Because I mean, because it is a thing. Because clearly it is, right? And
mhm.
regardless about like uh, what our sort of perception of that, we obviously may think it's friends with benefits or whatever. But if it is a thing, and that's what's happening at the moment in a situationship, then I guess it's better to be in that position where, right, well, you know what's going on, but try and at least be happy with it as well. Like, don't have because what I'm more trying to say to that is, or what I'm not trying to say is, that I'm not trying to say people should be in situationships, but if you find yourself in one, then make the most of it, like at least, because maybe it's a nice little kind of a nice bouncing step before potentially you want to end that situationship as amicably as possible, but then go, right, okay, well, I think I know what I want now. Like,
Yeah.
and then we want to try and go and find it. Now,
And And I get it. If casual is fine. If it's
Yeah,
generally what you both want, and I think that's the
yeah,
thing. If it's a casual thing, then surely that's what you are. And maybe you are exploring what you want because you've had relationships, you've been hurt, you've done the same things all the time.
yeah.
You're not so sure. Maybe you are testing the waters in different ways, and you want to just
Mm,
not play the field. I suppose that's wrong, but navigate what you want. Maybe is
sure.
that sort of a misconception? But then surely you would be better off going on a few more dates and having that and seeing what it is.
This is the thing. Like, I think there's always going to be like a trail off of like, maybe kind of, what your assumption of that would be like, because I think it's just, it's always going to be a bit of a tricky one, like to kind of get to the real kind of true core definition of what situationships might be, because, yeah, everybody's going to be quite different about it,
Mm.
which is why we want to talk about it, or why we want to sort of have these
And
conversations.
I suppose the damage comes from sort of
Mm.
like mismatched or unspoken like expectations of it all as well,
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
the expectations of it are going to be huge, and what somebody's
Mm.
expectations are to what
Yeah.
somebody else's are is monumental.
Definitely. Well, definitely. And that's the thing. That's why there's, when you think about, when there's two people within a when there's two people within I don't say relationship, but when there's two people that are within that situationship, there's always just a likelihood that there's either a clash, or there's either like, or emotionally there's a clash there,
Mhm.
or but more often than not, I think it's it is unfortunately always going to boil down to, because I'm maybe just going to have to reiterate something that we've already talked about. It's unfortunately always going to boil down to the fact that somebody wants it more than the other person does.
Mhm.
Um, because I don't think anybody can convince me otherwise. Like, in that, yeah, because can you imagine that? Like, for example, like there's that, maybe someone does reach out, like, I'm in a situationship at the moment, and we are both absolutely happy as we
Oh,
can be.
I mean, if you
I
are,
mean, sure,
you might have just won the lottery because
uh-huh,
blows my
exactly,
mind. But
yeah, exactly.
me personally, I'm not wired up that way. I'm definitely not.
Neither
Like,
man. Yeah.
I and I've never been that way. And don't get me wrong. Yes, I've had a few one night stands in my lifetime. Right. I've never. Yes, I have enjoyed them, but I haven't enjoyed them. If that makes sense.
I get you. I totally get you. Yeah.
Because it's not it's and that's nothing against anybody. It's sort of me as a person.
No, I
I've
get it.
walked I've woke up and I've gone, yeah, that was more difficult than I thought, and it wasn't the best for me. In ways of that person was great and the time and everything else we spent
Yes.
together was absolutely great, but it didn't feel that genuine connection, what you're looking for. And I think that for me
Yes.
is
Yeah.
always that thing. And people might go, "Oh, you're such a soppy get." No,
No.
that's just me. That's
But
how I'm.
you're being honest about that, and
Yeah,
I think that's more important, to be honest about it. I couldn't agree more in that regard. Like, with what you've just, I totally resonate with that 100%.
yeah,
But that, because it is what it is. Like, why fucking say it otherwise?
yeah,
That's how you feel, and that's fine. And that is
yeah,
totally fine. Learned experiences, but that's where you are right now, and that's the case. I mean,
yeah,
some people might enjoy to do it. That's fantastic. Like, you do you, right? But if you don't, then it's fine to say you didn't. That's absolutely fine.
yeah. And do you know what it is like? I put these couple of things here, and you know, quietly hoping it becomes more and saying nothing. Now, you
Interesting.
know, you're going to be quietly hoping in all of this, what we've talked about, and it becomes more and saying nothing. And generally, somebody's not going to say what they want, and somebody's going to be quietly
And that's where
hoping.
the time will just, the time will go on and on and on and on. Things might be quite good, but then before you know it, like, maybe you're stopping yourself. Maybe one of the people, maybe both people in that relationship, or one, or one or the other, are maybe potentially stopping themselves from actually exploring what is
Mm,
ultimately going to make them happy. But we talked about it last week as well, like that Groundhog Day of like the year 11 cycle of that couple, like, because before you know it, you're getting to that stage, like, and you're like, you want to get a spark back. Now, we were talking about intimacy, but still the parallels of that when you're looking at like situationships, and that's so important what you've just said. It's just having a poker face, like, and like, oh, you've not said anything, so I'm not going to say anything. But then before you know it, you're planning like next year's like New Year's plans, and then ultimately you're basically in a relationship, but you're
Yeah.
not talking to each
Talking
other.
about
Like,
it's weird,
ah,
and
yeah,
it's weird, and this is my last point that I had,
yeah,
and I love it. Right, honesty points, right, tie straight back to you define you. Right, you don't get clarity by going quiet. You get it by speaking up. And that for me, I think ties it in. And I'll read it one more time.
yeah,
Honesty
like that.
points ties you straight back to you define you, right? Because you don't get clarity by going quiet. You never do.
No,
You get
no.
it by speaking up. And it's
Mhm.
it's painful, but you speak up, you feel better, your shoulders drop, you sleep easier, you are better in all that sense of the word. And somebody go,
Yeah,
ah, you shut up, mate, yourself. No, 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 no. Speak up. You don't have to
yeah.
be a raging bull about it. You just have to
No,
say your piece and
because
be.
but you also know what's likely to happen there when somebody has the confidence and the sort of and the balls to speak up. They're maybe not going to sit them down on a park bench. They're probably going to get their phone out, type something, press send, and then forget it ever happened. Now,
Or
okay,
or you might have
it's
been on,
usually
or
not the
you
best
might have been
filter.
on a date and you might be sat in
Yeah,
the car, because generally,
uh-huh.
most things always happen inside a car because it's you in four walls. You can't
Exactly.
escape, right? I know you're four
Yeah,
walls.
yeah.
You're
No,
in the
but
car.
true.
You're
Yeah,
driving, unless you stopped and parked up, but you're driving, and you're going to
yeah.
have that conversation because you're not going to jump out the fucking door.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Not in a moving car, I wouldn't. You know,
no,
but
totally.
you are, but
Yeah.
you're going to have that difficult conversation. And I'm not saying that's where you have to have all your difficult conversations, but sometimes it's a better place to have a difficult conversation
Of
because
course,
you're going to be able to say it and express it how you need to, and it's going to give
absolutely.
you it's going to give you clarity there and then.
The same way of like trying to sort of meet that person in a crowded busy place, because then there's enough noise around you that you feel a little bit safe and secure that you maybe can say what you say.
Hmm.
If there's a reaction and a walk off, then it's like, right, well, you don't necessarily feel absolutely isolated at like the peak of this lovely sort of like scenic bit in a bench where like, oh my God, like that's really awful what's just happened. And I have nothing to consume me with noise or anything. So yeah, I mean, it's however it happens, then I suppose
Yeah.
it's better to do it face to face. Of course it is. But I think there's a likelihood that in a digital age and with sort of people's approach, that there's going to be a message typed out in their notes app that's going to be copied and pasted and either sent via text, via WhatsApp or whatever, and then it's
Hmm.
done. And then because then that what you just said there about shoulders back, but like, I've actually done it before myself, but you've gone right. It's that way we've gone 3, 2, 1 and send. Like
Yep.
now
And
it's
that's it. It's clear. It's clarity.
exactly.
It's done. And you've spoke up and you've said your
Yes.
piece, and you
And
can
then you
move
see that
forward.
they're typing for like fucking 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Yeah.
You've got, oh man, yeah, you've gotten a massive assignment coming back at you before you even know it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
I
no,
got it.
I'm honestly, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Mhm.
But no, right? You said you had a would meet. I think that settles that up nicely this week. And I
It
think
does.
that,
It does.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think you said you've got a would you rather for me. So do you want to give me yours
Okay.
before I give you mine this week? Because
Let
either
me do
way,
it. Yeah.
we're both gonna get, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, we're both going to get a shot in the ring here. But yeah, so I would you rather. So kind of try to sort of align it to the topic of conversation. I
Yeah.
suppose that might come across when I say this to you. So, would you rather accidentally, when you are looking someone up, would you rather accidentally like a photo that was like 6 years old from when you're looking that person up, or pocket dial an ex once a week forever?
To be honest, I would rather like somebody's photo that I'm looking up from 6 years ago.
Yeah.
easier on a conversation piece rather than
Probably.
somebody ringing me every week going, "What you doing? What you doing?" I couldn't be bothered. It would just be horrible. There's a reason why they're not no longer in your life for a
Yeah,
reason. So I would rather not do that. I would rather explain myself going, "I was
yeah.
looking through your whatever," and just going,
But do you know? But do you know? But
"Really
you know
off."
that? Do you know that that sudden sense of like, oh my fucking god, I have literally just like Grease 2006. Like, what the fuck
In
am
your
I doing
bikini.
here?
Yeah.
Like, oh, and then the thing is, I mean, I don't actually know the science of this. I don't know if you've like, for example, clicked like on something that was like donkeys years ago of this particular person, but then gone, oh fuck, and then unliked it. I don't know if they've got, oh, if they get, do you know what I mean? I don't know. I actually can't confidently say for anybody that maybe wants to
I
be
I
doing that. I don't know
I
if that, like, if they know
well
that you've done it.
well, I think they're gonna get a notification as soon as they do anything, and it's kind of
Oh
like,
man. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'd like so they could just live with it. I think that would be easier. At
Yeah.
least it's a
I think
conversation.
I would agree with you as well. I think, having
Yeah.
that kind of like, oh shit, slip of the finger, like, oh fuck, what am I doing? Rather than like once a week fucking calling an ex.
Slip
Jeez,
of
no
the
chance.
finger.
Yeah. Oh, my fat thumbs. Oh dear.
Right.
Wow.
Now, would you rather, right,
Yeah.
have a partner who's a screamer, right, or one who's dead silent and stares at you?
Mm. Just stares at she needs to be a screamer. Fuck off staring at me. No chance. I'd be more annoyed. I'd be screaming at them if they were just constantly staring at me like, what are you doing? I'm right here. But if they were a screamer, like I mean, you said if they were a screamer, like that's just open to interpretation of like, do they what when they talk, when they are
No. When they're in
reaching
the
a
bedroom.
climax?
Yeah, yeah. Reaching the climax, yeah. When you're screaming
Right,
in
I'm
there, or
thinking.
they're just gonna stare at you. Because I tell you what, I would
No,
take me a screamer. Somebody weirdly staring at you,
oh
just
yeah,
like, "Oh, nah, nah."
no, definitely. What? But the thing is, if you think about it that way, if they're a screamer, they're reaching a climax. Obviously, you're like champion of the world. So you're like, that's good. I've done my job. But then, I mean, obviously, we're looking at this like, would you rather? Like, you're going, but then if maybe that person has reached the climax, then he's just fucking staring at you. Like, you're like, can you say something? Like, I don't know what
But
was.
then but then but then if they're staring at you, there's a reason why they're then staring at you, because it's gonna be a different look to one that's, like, plain and just like,
Yeah,
and I
that's
can imagine that.
but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, definitely
screamer.
screaming for me. To be fair, wow, okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
cool. Right, that ties up. Right, guys. I
Oh, you're
do
still
love
here as well because remember
Oh, well,
last week there
yeah,
was
no,
a
I mean, last week I just randomly, like, vanished for whatever reason. I
yeah.
have no idea. That just cut out, like we've had 2 cutouts this week. I don't know. I have no idea what is going on in the world at
See.
this minute in
Yeah.
time. But no, right, thank you from me, guys. We'll catch you next week, and, yeah, we'll have another interesting comical conversation.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you again for listening. And yeah, do the usual. Wherever you listen, watch your podcasts, and please share some love, show some support, and we will, yeah, definitely see
Like
you on
and
the
s
next one.
Yeah, like and subscribe and help us out to push this channel further. So, yeah. Stay out yourselves, guys. See you soon.
Cheers.